Hey y'all, it's your girl Annette J. Morris, the owner and CEO of Go Getter LLC. Well, y'all know it's the vision of Go Getter LLC to help women to monetize their gifts, converting into 5 to 7 figure income generating businesses that supports their lives and their legacies. And I am your host for the Mind TV series. Y'all know how it is. Every week I bring y'all some bomb person that's going to tell you how entrepreneurship move their lives in new directions, but also tell you the journey to entrepreneurship. So look, if you know me, you know him. But if you don't, for those that don't know us, I'm gonna let him introduce himself and then tell y'all why he's on the couch today, because he has a bomb story. So introduce yourself to the people,
So
Jay.
I am Jamal Marquis Richard. I'm proud to say now that I'm a serial entrepreneur. But I really just am a regular guy. So I really.
How regular are you?
So we were just talking about, I enjoy the finer things in life, but I also still eat noodles out the pack. So
regular.
You have to be well-rounded in this day and age, right?
But why does he eat noodles out the pack, y'all? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But he really, genuinely does. Like, some days I call him and like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just sitting here eating noodles, like, really pouring them out the pack, dry, uncooked, real hood type stuff.
You gotta stay connected to your roots, that's all.
Somebody with millions of dollars will still eat noodles out the pack. It's okay. It's okay. So tell them about some of the business adventures that you have.
So as of today, I own 7 LLCs, right? So I own a personal care company in Mandeville. I own a parent franchise of that personal care agency called Right Hand Franchise. I own a bookkeeping franchise called Jumpin' Jack Taxes. I have a real estate acquisitions firm called Gold Rhino Residential. I have a consulting firm called Gold Rhino. It's my shirt. Mm-hmm. I have a title company in Houston called Marquis Title, and a trucking company now, and kind of list goes on. So I am kind of addicted to scaling and growing businesses. So about 9% of businesses in the US make it to that $1 million mark, and I've been able to do it consistently. And so that's one thing that I really enjoy doing, is really growing and scaling companies, and kind of the challenge of getting to an industry that I don't know much about. I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago about a beauty salon, right? I don't know anything about beauty, but I do know is women get their hair done every week.
That's true.
So I'm just addicted to the process of scaling businesses. And so I believe that entrepreneurship really is the great equalizer. It really doesn't matter much about education, and it helps to be more educated, whether it's in business or finance, or if you have a specific profession, whether it's mental health or you're a dentist, whatever that your specific profession may be. I really still believe that entrepreneurship is really the great equalizer, because unlike many people, I didn't get a college degree. I wasn't very good in school. So I think that I want to be kind of the poster child for people to say, if you feel like you're a regular person, you can outwork most people, to be honest with you.
And that's the thing, like I've shared with them before, even with 2 college degrees, one day what happened was the epiphany for me. A guy contacted me, somebody had referred him or whatever, and he had a lawn care business, cutting grass and everything or whatever, and he was like, he was already making $100,000 a year and only working like 6 months out of the year. And he called me, he was like, I need to start another business because I'd be bored in my downtime. I was like, wait a minute, you only cut grass and you make 6 figures?
Yeah. So I think we have to, unfortunately, we have to divorce the idea of working for money. And we have to look at it like I have hundreds of employees, right? So it's really important that if you need the security right now, that you take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But while you're doing that, I think it's important for you to work for yourself, and at the very least, start to learn from wherever you're working at now, right? So we were talking about working for Fortune 500 companies. So some of the greatest training I ever had, I was getting paid to get. Yeah. So whether I worked at Waffle House, I learned about operations from them, or whether I was working at Target or working at Sprint, right? Wherever I worked in the past, I was able to take some of that information and apply it to the companies that I have now. So if you are at a job or a place that you don't want to be forever, it's okay. Just make sure that you're taking notes of what you like about that organization, but also what you don't like. So when it's time to start your own organization, you're able to pull from somewhere versus not having any information to go from at all.
Absolutely, yeah, because it's no need to recreate the wheel. You just make it spin in your direction.
It's already rolling.
Yeah, exactly.
We ain't gotta reinvent the wheel.
We just jump on board.
Jump on board. I think like people know that you need to be like now. It's the easiest time and it's ever been to be an entrepreneur. Right?
Yeah.
It's everybody knows how to get an LLC at this point, and if you don't, obviously they're gonna call you.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that you should have a business bank account, right? Everything is a simple Google search at this point. But I think what people really forget about is the actual business of running the business, right? And people don't look at the overall profitability. That's one of the reasons why I started the bookkeeping company, because I was a person that didn't keep checking my books as I should. And I know a lot of small business owners don't do the same. So we have to get in the habit of, when we launch those businesses, doing it the right way and looking at profitability. There's a great book, Profit First, by Mike McCallowitz. And I was in business for years before I read that book and understood how to structure my bank accounts to make it more profitable. So there's stuff that we need to learn, and I don't think that we need to fast track the process every time, because my first business I wasn't very good at, right? And you're gonna get better over the years. And I got, a ton of failed businesses that I've started and didn't work out. And I think that if you're in that space where you're trying something, and this thing is very important. If you're in a space where you're trying something and it's not working, pay attention to why it's not working, because that may not be the business that's going to launch you, right?
Correct.
That may just be something for you to learn. You take what you've learned in this business and you apply it to the next venture. I said, don't take the failure as, oh, this didn't work, I'm a failure. I think that, I say this all the time, back in the 80s, Velcro wallets were a thing, right? And then eventually, nobody used Velcro wallets anymore.
Correct.
So if you were in the Velcro wallet business and your business went under, that didn't mean you were a bad business owner.
Right.
That just meant that that time has come and gone.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were on Airbnb space. And now we see the decline of Airbnb. Bookings are down, right? So you got to reinvent yourself, whether it's with traveling nurses or so on and so forth. You just have to adjust with the time. So just because you may have failed at something previously doesn't necessarily mean that you're a failure, right?
Absolutely. So I feel like failure is always like the greatest learning opportunities that you could,
It's humbling.
Yes, very humbling, very humbling. But then also in the same token, I feel like failure gets our attention more than success, right? Because if we successful and we balling, we just keep going. But failure make you pause and be like, ugh. Let me think about that. Like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Those type of things.
Yeah, we it's kind of a mirror, right? You're able to see yourself when you fail. And especially as entrepreneurs, we tend to think that we are, I was going to say we're better than people, but you have to have a little chip on your shoulder to believe that you can execute. And when you fail, it's humbling. You say, okay, well, that didn't work as I thought it would work. And I think that we are also a bit naive when we start a business to believe that because we were great at whatever we did previously, that it's going to automatically translate to being great at what we're doing now. And it's not necessarily the case.
Correct.
It's a brand new venture, and even if you're in the same lane, running your own company is completely different.
It's completely different. Yes.
So I'm a big fan of like that transition, that safe transition from I use the monkey bar approach. Like you don't let go of the first monkey bar until you have a firm grasp on the second one. I think that so many people say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and then they quit their job. And I was like, whoa, wait, no, don't do that. We still got mortgage payment, we still got car insurance, we got to feed the kids, right? And one of the most difficult things to really grasp going from a W-2 position to running your own show is the income roller coaster. And when things are great, things are great.
Yes.
And then, but the peaks don't ever put people out of business. It's always the valleys that take us out.
Absolutely.
And so, if you can't go 90 days without a check, then you can't be an entrepreneur, right?
Correct.
Because guess what? Some days you go 90 days without a check. And I would lie to you, but tell you it never happened. I was growing one of my companies. I was growing Right Hand Senior Care. We were growing so fast that it was taking all of our capital to pour back into payroll. So we really went 6 months and didn't take an income from the company, and that is very difficult. That's why I still eat noodles.
Yeah.
So, but once that company scales, then obviously you recoup all of your hard work.
Yes.
But those times, sometimes you have to pour money back into your business, so you aren't able every time to cipher off cash for yourself.
Yeah.
And I wish that wasn't true. But sometimes you're growing, and growing is a great thing. We can also be a victim of our own success. So if you don't have, those personal finances, and I talk about this all the time, like you have to have your personal finances in order before you transition into entrepreneurship. Because the truth is, if your books are bad, if you're not running your personal household like a business, then you're not going to run your business like a business.
Right?
So if you don't know how much money you're making on a monthly basis, if you don't know where your money is going on a monthly basis, that is going to transition into your business. And so you have to run your household finances just like you run your business. And I think if it's something that any person that wants to transition from working somewhere to becoming their own boss, you should really start with running your personal finances like a business, like literally like a P&L. Like I want you to go to QuickBooks, open up a QuickBooks account, and name your household with a Richard household. Or,
Right. Yeah. Like a business.
or a net household, and run it. Like I want to know how much income you're making, where it's coming from, what are your expenses, and how much money do you have at the end of the month, and exactly where it's going. And once you start that practice after 2 or 3 months, then you'll feel more comfortable, because when you run the business, it's only going to get more complicated, right? So we got to start with just learning some of the basics. I think that's really a small exercise. I think QuickBooks costs maybe $30 a month. It's a really small exercise you can start right now to really see if you have the discipline it takes to start a business. Because a lot of people have the desire, but they don't have the discipline.
They don't have the discipline, and this is actually true. So like Jamal said, peaks and valleys, I call them mountain and valleys. It's the same thing. Like when you have your really good seasons, because there are some months that I may generate $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month, and have $10,000 days, and then some days you go a whole 2 weeks and generate absolutely nothing, like goose eggs. You know what I mean? And you're like, wait, I just got a $20,000, payment of it. That type of stuff happens or whatever, right? So you have to be prepared for all of that type stuff in entrepreneurship. I was just saying last week, like, entrepreneurship is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, right? Because you have the comfort, and a lot of people transition that level of comfort into entrepreneurship, because when you're working for somebody, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get paid every 2 weeks. Like, it's not even a thought that payday is not gonna happen, nothing. Like, you know, every other Friday I'm gonna get paid, even if I show up to work and play on these people's computer online all day and don't get no work done. By next Friday I'm gonna get paid, right? In entrepreneurship, if you don't kill it, you don't eat it.
No. And I think it's a very difficult lesson to learn, that you can do everything right and lose.
Yes. This is true.
And you can do everything wrong and still win, right? So there's times in which I was like, all right, I know I didn't get that client. And then they'll call me and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I did.
and then there's times in which I did everything right. I had the right presentation, I had the right pitch, I had the right sales call, I followed up the right times. Like everything was right. And I didn't get the client. I didn't get the deal. And so it's humbling when you feel like you did everything right and you lose. And so there's no science to it, is the point. And you have to be able to withstand some of those valleys. Again, like I've had my biggest month, I made, don't judge me. My biggest month I made $500,000, right? But again, I went 6 months one time without getting the check, right?
Yeah.
So it definitely balances out at times. Right?
Out.
Did I make that every month? No.
Wish though.
not yet, right? That's in the housing boom of our era.
Yes.
But you may go, again, I haven't sold a house in months. And so, it comes in peaks and valleys. And do you have enough discipline to put the money aside and don't go buy that, that new shiny thing that you've been wanting, because the valleys are coming, right?
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for 15 years now. And the truth is that I've seen a lot of people come and go, and the valleys are always what takes them out. And they were doing very well at one point, and then all of a sudden they're gone. Or they don't innovate, right? So I'm a big history of money, right? And I pay attention to failed businesses, like Blockbusters, for instance, or in New Orleans we have, one of the biggest stories is Swegman's, right? So I was a boy, and I used to go.
You just show your age when you say Swegman. Well, I told mine since I know it.
As a boy, I used to go to Canal Villary. I used to walk to Canal Villary, right? And I used to live in Gentilly, and I used to walk to Canal Villary, and that was we didn't have a car, we were very poor. And so we used to go to Canal Villary. And I remember when Canal Villary and Robert's got bought out by a company called Swegman's. Yeah. And I didn't know anything about Swegman's, but apparently Swegman's was a big deal. And they shut down a few stores and consolidated. I call Swegman's like the first super Walmart. And they just got too big too fast. And ultimately, they filed bankruptcy a few years later. And while they grew and the acquisition of these other small businesses look huge, the truth is they're not here anymore. Right. You look at Kmart, they're not here anymore. And so as a business, you have to evolve. And so it's a lot of stress to not only correct problems of the past, make sure that you're poised to take care of the problems of today, but also trying to be innovative so that you're not extinct going into the future, right? And so there's a lot of different dynamics going on. Just because I was successful last year doesn't mean anything next year or this year, right? And so we have to continue to innovate. We have to continue to build new relationships. And I would say the biggest asset in business is relationships.
Yeah, this is true.
I used to think it was money.
And it's not.
It's not.
Because a lot of times, actually, your revenue is in your relationships, right? The relationships you build. Because a lot, like people will say, like, you literally one connection away from being a millionaire, right? And this is one of the strategies that I teach my clients now, like marketing it's not always like putting money in ad spend and all this marketing. Sometimes it's leveraging other people's audiences, right? So if she has a podcast, she has a podcast, she has a podcast, and they have 5,000 followers each, and none of them are people that follow me already, I'm gaining exposure to 15,000.
And people, people who never would have seen you otherwise, who never have ventured out to be you. And the other question is like, building value to other people's brand, right? Like, can you speak highly on your colleague's brand, or do you know what they do? Can you speak enough to be a salesperson for them, right? Can you be an advocate for them? They have a product. Can you get an affiliate link for them without taking money, right? Can you literally just speak well? And we talk business back and forth all the time.
Correct.
Can you speak well, and do you have confidence? And years ago when I was selling insurance, I took a referral class. And in that referral class, they told me if I wasn't getting referrals for my business, it's either people didn't know what I did or didn't trust that I could execute. And so I would say that resonates to every business. A lot of times, people don't even know what you do, right? Like, and the other thing is, can you execute? Have you executed for them in the past? If not, did you fix the problem yet? Because sometimes in small business, we make a ton of mistakes, right? And sometimes you can overcome them, and sometimes you can't.
Right, yeah.
And I've done it all too well. I opened a title company last year, and I used to leverage some of my relationships, and we didn't do well. And we were still learning the process. And so you got to go back and be real humble. Hey, we made a mistake. We messed that up. How can I earn your business again? What things do I need to change? And if people like you, they'll give you honest feedback.
Second chance, and a second chance, yeah.
And you just have to be the type of person to be able to receive that feedback. And so sometimes we know small business owners that we can't give them any feedback because they won't be receptive to it, right? So we just have to come to sometimes check our ego, because in business, what I like about it is it's just math, right? So if you're not selling, it's just math. That means we have to change something, right? Whatever you were doing is not resonating with the audience that you're trying to connect to. And so it's not what I said. This is the world has said they don't want this product, right?
Correct.
And so we just have to be able to receive the information and build new relationships with people where you're able to be honest with them, and vice versa. To me, I think changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, y'all, let me tell y'all how I met Jamal initially. So, we always talk about how entrepreneurship has moved your life or our lives in new directions. I originally met Jamal about, maybe about...
It's a decade.
I must say at least 10 or 11 years ago.
That's been over a decade.
Jamal I was a consultant for a behavioral health agency, and he was her Aflac insurance guy. So when he came to the office, she introduced me. She was like, this is my consultant, but she also has her own mental health program or whatever, right? Mental health agency. And he's like, well, cool, I'm about to come, sign your people up too. I'm like, bet, come to the office. I'm at my client office right now, but come to my office, whatever. And so he came and signed our staff up or whatever for Aflac insurance. And just throughout the years, Jamal has made such a huge transition from being an insurance sales guy to the multi-million-dollar real estate investor, business investor person that he is today. But let's talk about how your life has transitioned from being the insurance man, the Aflac insurance man, to who you are, to the Jamal that we see today.
So for me, so before I was at Aflac, I worked at Waffle House, and I had a ton of other jobs before that. But I was at Waffle House as an operations person, and I was recruited for financial services. So I went to Northwestern Mutual, and I didn't like that environment. It was a little stuffy for me. And so a friend of mine worked at Aflac, and I liked that environment. It was much more laid back. So I became an Aflac rep, and there you're 1099. And so it's kind of like having a small business on training wheels, basically. And but what it did was it exposed me to business owners, especially people that look like me. And so when I would run into business owners, I would be so excited about learning about their business, but really learning from them. And so I would say that was, to me, that was the transition, was to see people in spaces that I want to be in, maybe not necessarily in the mental health space, but definitely as an owner of an agency. And so seeing what's possible and then saying, okay, I could achieve that. And so I think being in that space where I was talking to business owners every day, going out and doing B2B sales, really allowed me to be in the same space as business owners, and for them to see me as a business owner myself, which at the time I really didn't. And so kind of going from one client to 10 clients to 100 clients to 1,000 clients, now you have all these people that you've done business with that know you, and now you're saying, okay, I want to take some of the knowledge I've learned from them and try to apply it. And that's how I got to a personal care company that I own now, was because I was friends with so many personal care agency owners who gave me a lot of advice on how to start and scale an agency. And but that was very important for me to be able to see people in the space and to say that, okay, this person wasn't so untouchable, unreachable. Like we're just regular people. I think sometimes we can be inaccessible at times because we're a little bit busy, but you can reach out, right? There's so many ways to reach out and ask questions. I mean, the internet is just the great equalizer.
Yes.
And so we have so many ways we can get in touch with people that we never were able to talk to. In the past, we didn't have access to them, but now you have almost unlimited access.
Correct.
The key is, what question are you going to ask? I remember being really excited. I was at Sprint, and I was working for Sprint, and this lady came in. I would never forget her. She came in, and she would always come into the Sprint store and asking for free stuff. And I'd be like, who is this cheap lady? She would always come and ask for free stuff.
She don't want to pay for nothing.
And she was like, you got any extra headphones back there? You got an extra charge? I'm like, this little broke lady. And so I run into her at a McDonald's down the street, that was in Atlanta, and she was all this paperwork handing. I was like, what are you doing at McDonald's? And she actually owned the McDonald's, right?
Oh, wow.
But I had no idea. And so I was so excited. I had so many questions. I was like, wait, you own the McDonald's? Like, what? And so I was like, wait, how do you get to own the McDonald's? And she stopped me head on. She's like, stop. I'm really busy. Get your questions together. And then when you meet somebody like myself, make sure you have top 3 questions that you want to ask if you ever run into us. And initially, I felt disrespected, to be honest with you. I was like, you come in my store asking me for free charges.
Stuff, everything, right? You got the nerve.
But I really sat down and thought about it. I said, if I run into the president of ExxonMobil, if I run into the CEO of PetSmart, right? What question would I even want to ask? And so I started to formulate like high-level questions, and that really prepare you for those conversations. So not only are we accessible, but when you reach out, make sure you ask the question.
A valid question. Yeah.
That's going to make an impact on your business, right? Don't ask me, what's my favorite color, right?
Yeah, they ain't got nothing to do with you. That's not going to help you.
So not only identify people who you want to reach out to, reach out, and then make sure you ask a question that's going to resonate to them and make them want to respond. Because you got to remember, like, I probably get 100 emails a day, legit.
On a low end.
I try to check my Instagram once a month. I try to check, TikTok once a month. But I'm not on those platforms every day, so I can't respond to everybody. Like, I respond to somebody, they reached out like October, and I finally responded to them, right?
I had the same thing in Facebook. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I just seen this message.
We just have so much going on. But I want to encourage you to use these platforms to reach out, because there's a wealth of knowledge that we all have access to. And I'll say this, a lot of times we have to put our money where our mouth is. And whether I've paid thousands of dollars for coaching, I've paid thousands of dollars to get in rooms. I have a mastermind I'm going to on Thursday, and I've paid $10,000 to be in that group, right? So whether it's $10,000, $20,000, $500, whatever it takes sometimes to be in a room, you need to learn how to pay to get in the room. And while there are a lot of things that we can have access to for free, the truth is we pay for things that we want. And if you want to learn what someone's focus is, follow their bank account.
Yeah.
For me, I tell you where I was. Most of my money was going to food and entertainment, and I was fat and happy, but I wasn't wealthy, right? So I would encourage you, go look at the last 90 days of your bank statements, and it'll tell you what your focus is, right?
Yeah.
If your focus is on online courses and webinars, and I bought this ebook, and I went to Barnes and Noble and I bought this, well, your focus is going to be shifting. But the truth is, you have to start taking some accountability for yourself and saying, okay, I have to do something different.
Yep.
And so we just talked about Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn, I like him because he says things that resonate to me, and he says that you can have more than what you have because you have the ability to become more than what you are. But the flip side is, if you don't become more than what you are, you're going to always have what you currently have.
True. Yep. Fact of the matter is, you're going to stay stuck.
So we go way back. So so what happens when you get into business is that your clients become your friends.
Yep.
And we share successes, we share failures, right? Because we even at this level, we fail all the time.
Yeah.
We just don't take it as
it's fair. It's just a lesson. That's what we're just saying. Like, the failure is you get the lessons from that, you know what I mean? And then you build on that. So actually, Jamal, wherever we go, I don't care if we throw a retreat in the country or out of the country, Jamal is coming with. Y'all met my best friend Malika at the very beginning of the TV series. We bring Jamal with us because he is a wealth of knowledge. Like, Jamal has 7 businesses, but he don't run those businesses. I tell y'all, like, I talk about multiple streams of income, and not necessarily multiple businesses, but multiple streams of income in one business. Or if you have a team and don't have to physically be in all of the businesses, then I encourage multiple businesses. Jamal has multiple businesses because he does not have to be in all of them. He has teams that run. Now, you heard him say employees. He has teams that run each and every business where he can touch the business here and touch it here and make a phone call here and this, that, or whatever. He does not have to play an active role and be involved in the day-to-day operations every day on any of those businesses, right? So, again, he's in town now facilitating something on Go Rhino in this particular business, right? But then he's going to fly out of town and go to Belize in a couple of days, and that business is still going, but there's still people that are working it, right? So you don't have to have multiple businesses. I mean, you can have multiple streams of revenue in one business, or you can have multiple businesses if they don't require 100% of you, because you're only one person. So you can't effectively run a business if you are 100% involved in all of them, right?
And I tell small business owners, a lot of times we become addicted to saying that we're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm a business owner.
I'm a business owner. But the business cannot run without you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really dangerous, because you are still driving the income yourself. Mm-hmm. And so many of us are trying to get rich. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that getting rich is a process that you shouldn't start with trying to get rich. That shouldn't be the goal initially. Mm-hmm. The goal should be trying to get free. Mm-hmm.
The freedom, yeah.
And so once you're free, now you have time to do the most important piece of the puzzle, which is to build relationships. Mm-hmm. Because I just told you, the money is not going to make you rich. And if you have money, it's very easy to evaporate. Mm-hmm. Relationships are going to make you rich. Yeah. But you have to have the time to cultivate them, right? Yep. So if you are going to work at 9 a.m., which means you're leaving the house at 7:30, right? And you work until 5, and then now you got to go home and cook, and then you have children, so you have to actually spend time with the kids and do homework, and you might be married, so you got to spend time with the spouse, and you're trying to give your dreams your leftovers, right? That is a very difficult proposition. Yeah. So I would say first you should try to get your freedom, right? And it's going to be a little bit of process. It may take some years, right? But get your freedom, and then you get rich. Absolutely. And I think there's so many. I think the culture right now is everybody's trying to drive McLarens and Ferraris. I don't have a Ferrari. Okay? I'm rich. I don't have a Ferrari. Right. It's okay. It's okay if you drive.
It's okay not to. Right. It's okay not to hit the Ferrari. Make it a long-term goal.
But what I do have is the freedom, right? Yeah. And so once you get your freedom, then you'll have the time that you need to get rich, and it'll come fast. Yeah. Because you'll have the time to go to retreats. You'll have your friend can call you and say, "Hey, I'm having a retreat in Miami. Can you come?" And I'll be like, "Hey, what day is that again?" Tomorrow. Just book my flight. I'll be there tomorrow. Because you have the freedom.
And that actually happened. I was like, don't forget you're supposed to be in Miami tomorrow.
True
my God.
True story. But I'll be there, right? And
he was.
I flew in. I was there I flew in at 11 at night, and I was there at the house at 7 a.m. And then I flew back out the next day. Yep. And I think that the freedom is what's really going. I want to keep saying freedom, because so many of us don't understand that that's the commodity, right? We don't know how much time we have on this earth. Like, our time is much more valuable than money. And I have this whole equation about the time and money thing, but I would just say this. Money loses value. Time gains its value. Yes. We don't know how much time we have, but what I do know is that my tomorrow is more valuable than my yesterday, because I have less tomorrows. Yeah. So the sooner you're able to transition, the better. I don't want you to fast track the process, because there's lessons you have to learn. Yeah, along the way. But understand that that's the goal. Yeah. To become free. And once you become free, then we can get rich. Absolutely. When I first retired, I made $36,000 a year. And I was okay. Now I'm free. My income is 36. My expenses were 30. I'm like, I'm winning. Yes, I'm poor, but
but I'm free.
But I'm free, right? And I was able to spend that time develop more skills, develop more relationships. And that's the real key, because cultivating relationships are really it. Just because you know a person doesn't mean you have a good relationship.
Absolutely.
Right? Relationships take work, whether it's a spouse or whether it's your kids or whether it's a business relationship. All these relationships take work. And work takes time. And if you're spending your time going to work every day, then you're not able to spend that time building actual relationships, right?
Absolutely.
And so I will tell you, my biggest takeaway for you today is to make sure that you're building relationships and that you're being intentional about the people who are in your circle. Because on average, we speak to about 10 to 15 people a day, total. So I would encourage you to go through your phone for the last week and write down who are the 10 to 15 people that you talk to. And are those people beneficial to your business? Because sometimes we have to do a little bit of inventory. They call it spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of spring cleaning and do some replacements.
Absolutely.
And not that I don't love you, Mom.
Right.
But I can't spend 3 hours on the phone talking to you about this chicken pot pie.
Absolutely.
I gotta build some new relationships, right? That can service me. That's all.
Yes. Well, Jamal, tell the people how they can stay in touch with you and how they can follow you so that they can stay connected.
So I am on the gram, right? So on Instagram, I keep it real simple. But it's just my name, Jamal, Jamaal. My middle initial is M, and last name is Richard, Richard. Don't say Richard, that's disrespectful.
Okay.
So from Louisiana. So I'm on TikTok as well, same handle, Jamal M. Richard. And that's the best way to get in touch with me. If you shoot me a DM, I'll respond. I promise I'll respond. But if you have a question, feel free to ask whatever you like. I have a ton of stuff on my link tree as far as courses, things that I teach people how to retire to 9 to 5. I have a big thing now that you should retire your 9 to 5 before your 9 to 5 retires you. And so, we need to be very intentional about what we're doing over the next 12, 24 months. We're going to enter into some economic difficult times, and so you need to have your team of people around you that's going to help support you through this downturn.
Absolutely.
So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm always here.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us this week. You know what it's going to be. Same time, same place next week. We're going to bring you all another boss, magnificent person that's going to tell you how entrepreneurship has leveled their lives and moved them in new directions, as well as giving you the journey to entrepreneurship. So until next week, see y'all later. Bye. Welcome to Go Getter University. It's the home and a one-stop for entrepreneurs teaching all things entrepreneurship. We have courses ranging from how to start a business, how to start a nonprofit organization, to how to generate your first 10K consistent month, on to grant writing. Anything that you want to learn about entrepreneurship, it is in Go Getter University. Follow us at www.goalgetteruniversity.com to register.